One bad decision. People say it like it's obvious. Like you wake up one day and choose chaos. But real life doesn't work that way. The decisions that change everything almost never feel important when you make them. They don't feel dramatic. They don't feel dangerous. They feel small. Ordinary. Forgettable. And that's exactly why they matter. Most people believe life falls apart because of patterns. Bad habits. Repeated mistakes. But many stories don't follow that logic. Many lives are split cleanly into before and after by a single moment. A single choice. One step taken or not taken. One sentence spoken or swallowed. One warning ignored. And the scariest part is that the moment itself often feels completely harmless. When people look back, they try to find meaning. They search for signs. They tell themselves it was inevitable. That it was always going to happen. But the truth is harder to accept. The truth is that, in that moment, things could have gone either way. And they didn't feel like they were standing at a crossroads. They felt like they were just moving through another normal day. The human brain is built to protect comfort. It does this quietly. Constantly. It filters information, softens threats, and delays discomfort whenever possible. This isn't a flaw. It's how humans survived for thousands of years. Panic wastes energy. Constant fear destroys focus. So the brain learns to downplay danger unless it becomes undeniable. The problem is that modern consequences don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they arrive silently. And by the time the danger feels real, the opportunity to act is already gone. This is why one bad decision rarely feels like a decision at all. It feels like postponement. Like hesitation. Like choosing to deal with something later. You tell yourself you'll think about it tomorrow. That you need more information. That it's probably nothing. And most of the time, that instinct serves you well. Most small risks stay small. Most warnings lead nowhere. But not all of them. And you never know which one won't. Psychologists call this normalcy bias. It's the tendency to assume that things will continue the way they always have. If nothing bad has happened before, your mind expects nothing bad to happen now. You judge danger by memory instead of possibility. You trust patterns instead of probabilities. This works until it doesn't. And when it fails suddenly. People caught in disasters often say the same thing afterward. They say they didn't think it was serious. They say they almost left. Almost spoke up. Almost trusted their instincts. But almost isn't enough. Almost doesn't change outcomes. Almost is invisible in the final result. Another force that shapes these moments is social pressure. Humans are deeply influenced by the behavior of others. We look around to decide how to feel. If everyone else seems calm, we assume calm is correct. If no one is reacting, we hesitate to be the first. We don't want to embarrass ourselves. We don't want to overreact. We don't want to be wrong. So we wait. Waiting feels safe. Waiting feels reasonable. Waiting feels polite. But waiting is also a decision. And it has consequences. In many investigations, later analysis reveals that warning signs were noticed by more than one person. Someone sensed a problem. Someone saw something unusual. Someone felt uncomfortable. But no one took responsibility. Each person assumed someone else would act. Responsibility dissolved into silence. And silence created time. Time allowed the situation to worsen. Time allowed systems to fail. Time allowed the margin for error to disappear. From the outside, these stories feel frustrating. Obvious. People ask why no one did anything. Why no one spoke up. Why the risk was allowed to continue. But from the inside, nothing felt urgent. Nothing felt final. It felt like something that could still be fixed. Confidence plays a dangerous role here. We like to believe that experience protects us. That knowledge makes us safer. But experience can also create blindness. Familiarity reduces fear. Repetition dulls caution. When you've done something many times without consequences, your brain stops treating it as a risk. It becomes background noise. And the more often you get away with it, the more normal it feels. Experts are not immune to this. In some cases, they are more vulnerable. Expertise creates trust in systems, trust in routines, trust in outcomes. When those systems begin to fail, experts are sometimes the last to notice, because they have the strongest belief that things will work as expected. When confidence replaces vigilance, small errors can grow unnoticed. This is why the phrase "one bad decision" can be misleading. It implies recklessness, carelessness, poor judgment. But many of these decisions are made by careful people, thoughtful people, people trying to do the right thing. They come from good intentions, wanting to avoid conflict, wanting to keep things moving, wanting to trust others, wanting to believe that problems won't escalate. These are human instincts, social instincts. They help us function. But under the wrong conditions, they can quietly guide us toward irreversible outcomes. There is often a subtle internal signal before things go wrong. Not fear, not panic, just discomfort. A feeling that something is slightly off. Something you can't quite explain. Most people are trained to ignore this signal. We're taught to be rational, to seek evidence, to not act on feelings. But this signal exists for a reason. It's your brain noticing patterns faster than conscious thought can process them. When people say "I had a bad feeling," what they often mean is, "my brain saw something my logic hadn't caught up with yet." Ignoring that signal doesn't always lead to harm. But when it does, the regret is sharp. Because the warning was there. Quiet. Easy to dismiss. But real. The most dangerous part of all this is that from the inside, it never feels like a turning point. There's no announcement. No clear boundary between safe and unsafe. There's just a gradual shift. A slow narrowing of options. A series of small delays. And then suddenly, there are no good choices left. Afterward, people describe the moment when they realized it was too late. That moment is often described as surreal. Calm. Almost unreal. Because the brain struggles to accept how quickly everything changed. 1 minute, life felt normal. The next, the path forward was gone. Survivors of close calls often describe the same pattern. They say they almost didn't act. Almost didn't leave. Almost stayed quiet. Almost followed everyone else. Almost trusted the situation. The difference between survival and loss was often measured in seconds. Or in a single action taken at the last possible moment. Regret is heavy because it carries clarity that didn't exist before. It shows you the exact point where things could have changed. The exact moment when a different choice would have led somewhere else. That clarity doesn't help. It just stays. This is why hindsight is so cruel. It rearranges the past into a story that feels obvious. But in real time, life doesn't provide narration. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't tell you which moments matter. You move forward without knowing which decisions you'll carry forever. The idea that you'll recognize a life-changing moment when it happens is comforting. But it's not true. Most turning points don't announce themselves. They hide inside routine. Inside politeness. Inside hesitation. They disguise themselves as minor choices. The most dangerous moment is not panic. Panic is loud. Panic draws attention. Panic forces action. The most dangerous moment is calm. Calm convinces you that you have time. That you can fix things later. That the situation is still under control. Calm makes delay feel safe. But later is not guaranteed. And control is often an illusion. One bad decision doesn't need chaos to exist. It thrives in order, in routine, in familiarity. It grows in moments when nothing seems wrong, when life feels predictable, when you trust that tomorrow will look like today. You won't remember the moment clearly when everything changed. You won't mark it in your mind. It won't stand out. You'll remember it later, when you replay events and realize how ordinary it felt. Just another day. Just another choice. Just another moment you didn't think mattered. And that is what makes one bad decision so powerful. Not its size. Not its drama. But its silence.